Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I'm Connor Williams, and this is the scout report on Kudus, Mohammed Kudus. First of all, I'm welcoming Juan to the channel. Welcome, mate, from the We Talk Ajax channel. Welcome to the channel.
Thank you for having me, Connor.
It's all ours, mate. Hopefully, you can tell us a little bit about the potential signing that we've got. First of all, tell us a little bit more about him. I myself included, a couple of other Everton fans aren't too sure on who he is. So just tell us a bit more about him.
Yeah, of course. So Mohammed Kudus is a player from Ghana originally. We signed him in 2020 for about 9 million euros fixed fee. I think there were bonuses included as well. And when he came, he started playing on the midfield. He's like, I think, an attacking midfielder. And Ten Hag actually started playing him a few weeks into the new season. But then we had this Champions League game against Liverpool, the first game, and Ten Hag used him as a false nine. And within 9 minutes, I think he went into a duel. I don't remember against who, but then he got injured. And the injury seemed to be an ACL, and he was out for a season. And from that moment on, honestly, he had a lot of bad luck, to be honest, because this was his first major injury, and he was out for the season. And then in his second season, which was last season, he picked up an ankle injury during the preseason, playing against Anderlecht. And then he was out for a few weeks, months, and then he went to play for Ghana, and then there he got a rib injury. And so he had 3 injuries already for Ajax in a spell of 2 years, 1.5 years. So in general, we haven't seen the full potential of Kudus yet. We did see glimpses in the beginning, at the start when we signed him, but still we're waiting for Kudus to really show what he can. And honestly, I mean, personally, I think he's a very good player. But again, he has to show it, and the injuries are more or less stopping him from being that player that he might or could be.
So you mentioned injuries there. There will be a lot of fans that sort of hear that and panicking. It almost sounds like he's maybe a little bit injury prone, possibly. Would that be fair?
Well, if you look at his spell at Ajax, you would say yes. But when we signed Kudus, I also talked to, because he was playing at Nordsjælland in Denmark for 2 years, and I spoke with a fan of Nordsjælland. And there, for 2 years, he was barely injured. He didn't have any injuries. So, and I have to be honest as well, these 3 injuries are very, like, it's not the same things, it's completely different injuries as well. So the ACL thing, it was because he hit the player and, yeah, his knee just got stuck, and then the ankle injury, I think he could have, the ankle injury was a little bit, maybe he could have, like, been a bit more careful in the preseason, but maybe, it's very difficult because players want to show themselves, of course. And the one in Ghana, I didn't really catch that one. I didn't watch that game, but that was also, from what I've heard, very unlucky. So to say he's injury prone, yeah, he had 3 injuries in a short period of time. But if you look at his spell in Denmark, he didn't have any injuries. So yeah, it's just how things go sometimes with players,
Yeah, it sounds more like he's just an unlucky player. What type of position does he play in? I've heard that rumours that he's a 10, but I've also heard he could play centre mid.
Yeah, this question, do you have a minute? Because it's very difficult to answer this question. I will tell you why. So I will just focus on Ajax. So when he started at Ajax, I think he played one of his best games against Vitesse here in the Eredivisie, playing as number 8. And that game, a lot of fans still, I mean, big Kudus fans, they really always highlight that game because what happened was incredible. He was just into the first season and he was playing there. And I remember we conceded a red card and we were playing with, we were playing 10 against 11. And still he managed to control or dominate that midfield. We were playing with only 2 midfielders, basically. And he was incredible. Really, he really carried the team on that midfield at that time. And everybody was like, this guy is destined to be amazing. Okay, so he played as an 8, so we know this. Then in Ten Hag, when Ten Hag was the coach, he tried him also a couple of times as a 10. I think if you look at his, the way he plays, he's very attacking minded. So his first instinct is to go forward. He's a very good ball carrier. He likes to dribble, but also he's very technically sound. So a 10 position, he used to play this as well. I think he plays it a little bit at Ghana as well. But we have a new coach now, and very interesting. The coach, our new coach, Alfred Schroeder, gave an interview in the preseason and said that he thinks Kudus is much more an attacking option. So a false nine or a winger for us, that's new. But I know at Noord-Holland that he used to play also as a right winger. But I don't think he's a typical winger. He might be able to do it because the thing with Kudus, and I also spoke about Kudus not so long ago on our channel, and I invited a couple of guests, even somebody who has been following him for longer from Ghana. And the thing is, he made also the same questions to his coaches, in Ghana, like, what is his best position? And all the coaches have a little bit slightly different answers, and they don't really know because he's so all around. But I would say he's better going forward, so attacking minded, than being more defensive on the midfield. I think that's not really his instinct. Maybe you can turn him into one, but I think if you really look at what he likes to do, he likes to go forward. So very all round. Again, I cannot give you a specific answer.
No, yeah, that's fair enough. I did wonder if he could chip in defensively, but as you alluded to, then I take it he can do that if needed.
Yeah, no, absolutely, he can. The thing is with Kudus. Just to give you an example, he only played like maybe 50 games, and not all of those. I think lesser than 50 of those. Lesser than half of those, I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure of that. Wasn't even a starting position. So he hasn't played a lot for us to really know also for us what's the best position for this Ajax team. There's still debates among the fans, like where is he the best? And some fans now are saying, no, I agree with Schroeder. I want him more attacking. I don't think he can defend well. You start thinking and coming with new narratives because you haven't seen him for a long period of time.
Is he a player that is he a flair player? Does he like tricks? Is he one for the eye?
Absolutely. I think if you love football, you will love Kudus right away. I remember the first time I saw him. So we signed him in the summer 2020, and we were into the preseason, and there was a game against a German club. I forgot the name. Sorry for that. And the first touch that he did, I remember, I was like blown away because you can see from the way he touches the ball, he's very technically gifted. He's very press resistant as well. That's why you can also argue I could put him on the midfield as an 8 because even if he's pressed, he can turn away very quickly. He's explosive. He's strong as well. Again, like I said, he's a very all-round player, which makes it hard for coaches to say, okay, is this his best position? Is this his best position? So it's difficult, For me, I think he's a raw player still. He still has to be shaped into a player that's more mature, that knows how to fit in a certain tactics system of a coach, because he does a lot of things still, and it's normal. He's now 22. He hasn't played a lot, but I think he does a lot of things like instinctively, and which is good. But you see that players that are really at a high level, they also know exactly at what time to play like this, and also at other times how to play for the team and not go for certain things. And I think, again, if he would have played more, he would have been further in his development. But he's still a little bit, like trying to prove himself. I think also a lot for our team, that sometimes he takes more risks. But don't get me wrong. I'm not saying he loses the ball a lot or these kind of things. I think now he's a bench player coming in. He's not getting a lot of minutes. There is a debate going on at Ajax, and even when we heard about being linked to Everton, there was a split in the fan base. Some people said, yeah, but he hasn't showed anything, in 2 years. He was injury prone, and we already have good players. We have Berghuis and Klaassen who are not even starters. So where does he fit in? Maybe it's better for him, better for Ajax. And the other 50%, more or less, I think, they think like, no, you cannot do that. He still has a contract until 2025, so still 3 years to go. this guy, if you use him, he has a lot of potential. He can reach levels for this team. So again, it's I think the player right now that's probably the mostly split in terms of debate and discussion, and the fans meeting eye to eye whether he fits the Ajax system, where does he has to play, what's his best position, and these kind of things. So I know you asked me to come and give you like specific answers, but this is the best I can do.
It's better than like I said, but there's myself included, don't know a lot about him. When he flagged up in a group chat, one of the lads said he's apparently really good on FIFA career mode. That's the best review I've heard so far till speaking to you. So it's nice to have something that isn't based on a computer game. Overall, for Ajax, he's played 46 games, 6 goals, 4 assists. From what you've seen, do you think he can help contribute to Everton goal-wise? Just we lack a lot of goals at the minute, a lot of shooting. Do you think he can help in that way?
Absolutely, because the thing about Kudus as well, which is rare nowadays, you only see that with really like attackers up front. But as a midfielder, he can create like overload situation. Like if he gets pressed, like I said, he can turn away, and then you will have more people on the midfield going forward because he's that good basically. I think he's very I think he's gifted. I really truly believe he's a gifted player. Not all fans will agree with me, of course, Ajax fans, but I really do think so. And the thing for me that makes him a little bit different than the youngsters, because of course we always look also at the youngsters coming from Ajax. Always a debate in the Premier League is, are these Eredivisie players? Look at Lisandro Martinez right now in Malash and these kind of players. They're not that tall and these kind of things. Kudus is not that tall either, but I think what Kudus does bring is his physicality. I mean, at Ajax we don't really pay too much attention on that because for us technical capabilities is the most important thing. And in the Eredivisie you can get away with it as well, and in the Champions League more or less you can get away with it as well. But in the Premier League, it's much more a physical league. I think Kudus has that. So I don't think in that department it will be an issue for you guys. But in terms of maybe creativity, I think he adds creativity to your team. You can play him again. You can play him at the 10. You can play him as a winger, and even as an 8. So it depends for you guys, team-wise, what you guys really need to find a balance or to find a better, performance.
Obviously, when you think about great midfielders that have goals to their games, you think of, Everton manager Frank Lampard for one, like Steven Gerrard, and then you've got other ones as well across Europe. Goals from distance is something all of them seem to have in their locker. What's his shooting like? Is he a guy that goes for distance, or is he more of those burst into the box, get in front of the 6-yard and slot it past?
The last 2 goals that he scored were actually just outside the box, and he scored an amazing goal in the you guys call it Community Shield in the Premier League. We call it the Dutch Super Cup basically, and we played against PSV, which we lost. But he came in and he scored an amazing goal. He controlled the ball coming from the air, and then he shot the ball from distance, and he went like straight into the goal. And honestly, also one thing that I forgot to say. He was one of the best players, one of the better players for us in the preseason. So there's also this debate going on with the Ajax fans, like why is he only being benched and getting not so many minutes? And not only that, he's being subbed as a number 3 option or second option, third option, these kind of things. So also from the Ghana community, of course, the World Cup is coming, these kind of things they don't understand. Of course, there's subjectivity involved a little bit, but also a lot of people say this guy is better than a lot of midfielders because they watch Ajax now as well, and they don't understand. So I have to be honest. I think he would add, especially creativity to your team. I think in terms of shooting, he's improving. You're seeing that. I saw goals from outside the box, but he can also give that pass, that extra pass and these kind of things. He's a gifted player. He has a lot of ingredients to be a great player, but still we haven't seen him unlock his true potential. That's my current view.
Yeah, you mentioned his potential, and it leads on to my next question. How if he stays fit, how big of a talent do you think he could end up being?
Um, yeah, that's a good question. These kind of things is very hard to predict. It also depends, for him at this point, it's also very difficult. It's one of the most pivotal moments maybe in his career as well, because he spoke, it just came out, he spoke with the coach 3 times already, the new coach that we have, Schroeder. And Schroeder admitted that he had to calm him down a little bit and tell him like his chances will come. He has to be patient. He understands he's disappointed in these kind of things. And I know, I've heard that he's also have been pushing maybe, I have to go somewhere else because I don't see me getting the time that I need to become a better player. And look, if you think about it, just forget everything I said. If you think about it, I told you before, he hasn't played a lot of games. Even last season, he struggled to come back. He had to get his form back a little bit. So he got a couple of minutes from Ten Hag. But towards the end of the season, you're fighting for prizes, for the title, these kind of things. So Ten Hag is not somebody who likes to take risks with his substitutions too much. So all eyes were on this season. And you saw in the preseason that he really was giving everything he could. And a lot of people were thinking like, okay, this guy it's going to be Kudus' season this season. And then the couple of games that we played so far, so the first game I talked about, he played like maybe 20 minutes or something. He scored a goal in the Dutch Super Cup. Then we had the first game in the Eredivisie. He only played 4 minutes, which was crazy. And then he had 10 minutes, I think. And now the last game he had 20 minutes. So you see he's getting more minutes now. So I don't know where it ends, but the only thing I can tell you is in terms of his true potential. If the thing is, it's difficult to give your answer because, like I said, I haven't seen him play like 6 games in a row, even. So it's very difficult. But if you look at what he's showing with the limited amount of time, and also being a young player, because it's not easy for a young player to come in and go out and come in and go out and show a level of consistency. And he's doing that pretty well, in my opinion, for his age, for his coming back from these injuries. So I think if you really would get a chance the whole season to play, I think he would be a very good player. I think I don't know. I think he could be. I think at least, but I have to be careful here. I think he could play for maybe a top 8, top 6 Premier League team. Yeah.
Okay, so potentially if we got him, we'd be onto a good thing. Obviously, the type of transfer it is also dependent. The first link of him going to Everton last week was a loan. Dutch media have now dismissed that, but say there is an interest. Do you think a loan to Everton would be good for him? From an Ajax point of view?
Look, it's difficult, right? If you look at his situation, I think maybe it's better for him because I also tweeted that and I got a little bit of backlash, but also I got a lot of support from that because a lot of people see that it's going to be difficult. He has a lot of competition with the Ajax team as well. Even in our attack, I talked about Berghuis and Klaassen. These are midfielders who are being benched. But if you look at our attacking line, we have, probably Anthony will be leaving, but maybe we're getting Ziyech back. We have Brobbey up front. We have Bergwijn up front. We have Tadic, who can play as an attacker. So things are not looking very well for him in terms of competing with those players, to be very fair. But so if I look at his situation, if I would be his agent, let me put it this way, I would maybe push for a loan. And because when he comes back next season, let's say he does come back to Ajax, hypothetically, he still has 2 years. And maybe he had developed this year at Everton and he comes back next year for us and he will be a more mature player. But if I look from Ajax perspective to our team, we need all the players we have because we're going to play like 50, 60 games. We have Champions League coming. We have all these kind of things. And I really think he will get those minutes. Whether those minutes will be enough for him, that's another question because I think he really wants to be ready and hit top form when going to the World Cup because it's crazy maybe, but there's a lot of expectations from Ghana regarding him, even though he hasn't really unlocked his potential like I mentioned before. But they're expecting great things from Ghana, and especially from him.
Um, so what is, I know obviously you said limited time that he gets. What have you seen though that are his strengths and his weaknesses? For instance, is he fast just because the Premier League's so physical and can be quite high paced? Give me some of his strengths and weaknesses.
Yeah. So let me start with the strength. I told you already he's very all round, and let me start with the physical part because that's important also in the Premier League. I think he ticks all the boxes. I think the only weakness in that department would be his height a little bit, and also his heading abilities because he doesn't really do that, in my opinion. But other than that, I think he's fast, he's explosive, he's press resistant. He can turn really quickly, with the ball at his feet. Maybe he can. Maybe one thing that I think he could do better is like move more, like make more runs off the ball. I think he wants the ball too much at his feet all the time. So this is something he has to develop still. So in that physical department, I think he's good. Technically, he's very gifted. I said that already. I think he's left-footed, but his right foot is pretty good as well. What else? I think he's strong player. And like I said, also he has very, very much of creativity. He brings creativity to the team. He can switch the ball from side to side. He's very good in the short passes, finding solutions in crowded space, tight spaces. So he's a very good player. Again, I think in terms of tactical awareness, you can see he's still a young player. He has to mature in that department. So being more accustomed to a certain system and play into that system and not be always playing from an instinct point of view, like I mentioned before. So yeah, those are the strengths and weaknesses in my opinion.
Nice. Is there, just in case people, I don't know, this is maybe a bit of a tough one, but is there anybody that you could liken him to or say he's similar to that we might have seen before in the world of football?
You should have asked me this before. Wow, this is hard. Honestly, no, I cannot think of anyone at the moment.
It was a long shot question. I do realize I probably
no, because I'm trying to think. The thing is with him, he's again, it's rare to see a player has so many qualities and having so many qualities that you can basically play him everywhere. That's the difficulty, I haven't seen many players who could play an 8, 10, a winger, false 9, all these kind of things. These are, if you really want to look into that, I think we have to go back to the 90s, the 80s, and these kind of things. But it doesn't happen very often that you see a player who can play so many positions. Although, I have to be honest, I think Iwobi now is playing a little bit deeper, right? So, okay, this is maybe, you could probably in terms of versatility, you could look at him like Iwobi. But I think what separates him from Iwobi is he's more composed with the ball. He's much more calm. He never gets rattled when somebody comes at him with a ball. I think Iwobi needs more space, to really show himself. But Kudus doesn't need that.
Nice. I do. Yeah, it's interesting you said Iwobi because when I think about where he'd fit in our team, I do think he probably is going to be the second centre mid like we see Iwobi now. So it's very interesting you said that. I was already trying to figure out where he'd probably go. How well do you think he'll adapt to the Premier League? I only ask because Everton in the past have signed Davy Klaassen, who we were a bit excited about, but due to the, like you've already mentioned, physicality of the Prem and the fact that we'd signed him in a position that we also went and signed another 4 central attacking midfielders that summer. So, and one being Wayne Rooney, who boyhood hero was going to, always get game time. But do you think he'll adapt well to the Premier League, the physicality, a new place for him?
I think so. And it's funny that you mentioned Davy Klaassen because if I'm very honest, when he went to Everton, I already thought like this is too much for him. He was a very important player for Ajax, and he's a fan favorite to be honest because he has done so much he came from the youth academy. He has done much for the Ajax squad in general, and also he came back, from the German team Werder Bremen. So a lot of fans love him, to be honest. But a lot of objective fans also are arguing like Kudus is better than Klaassen at the moment, and it's not. Maybe you know this, but to say somebody that you signed is better than a player from the youth academy that you know and that has done so much for your team, you don't really say that lightly. So it means that the other player is better. And in my opinion, Kudus is much more, he has so much more in his back, in his football bag, or skills, abilities, these kind of things. That's Klaassen. Klaassen is a little bit more a player that he's more, like a hard worker. He can work hard, but also he has a technique that's very basic. So he does the things that he has to do, the passing and these kind of things he can do pretty well. But he's not amazing. He doesn't have anything that makes him an amazing player. And also what he does very well though, and that's something that he's much better at than Kudus, is his technical awareness. Klaassen knows exactly how to make runs, where to be at the exact moment. Donny van de Beek is also a player that can do that. They're very, they have like a second, like an instinctive nature of being in the box at the right time when the ball comes in, and they can score, but also they know at what time to release the ball. I think in that department, Kudus should make the next steps. But everything else that I just mentioned in terms of skill, abilities, these kind of things, Kudus is the better player.
Nice.
Makes sense. I hope it makes sense.
Yeah, no, yeah. I was going to say, I forgot we had Donny van de Beek as well for a minute. Is there anything else you can tell us about him? Maybe is he one to be is he a personality? Something a little bit off field maybe about him that's a bit more.
Yeah, he's a very shy guy, actually. He's a very shy individual. This is something that really sticks with me every time I see the training videos or I see pictures or these kind of things. He's a little bit of not a loner. I wouldn't go that far. It's difficult to judge from a distance, but you do see him always a little bit, on the background. But on the field, he doesn't hold back. So it's completely opposite, in my opinion. We had Darami. I know that he was friends with Darami because Darami used to play in Denmark as well. We signed him last season, but we just loaned him out back to Copenhagen. So his buddy, basically his friend, just left. I honestly do think I have seen a couple of teammates from Ajax talk about Kudus, not a lot, but some of them, and like Alvarez, but also like other players. And they are honestly, if you hear them talk about Kudus, they really know that he's a good player. So people see he's a good player and he has a lot of things going for him. But coming back to the whole thing that I've been talking about, it's time for him to really unlock his potential. And whether that will be with us or whether it will be with you, I really hope it will be with us, to be honest, because I like him as a player. I like players like that. You don't see often a player with a total package like that. And of course, he has things he has to improve. He's still 22, like I said. But looking at his base, at his, like in terms of where his base is, it's higher usually than the normal players that I've seen starting at Ajax, coming from the youth or young players coming in, which is why we're so excited. And we were so excited to see him, come at Ajax. But so far, unfortunately, we haven't seen what Kudus really can be.
My final question, mate, is overall, do you think this is a good signing? Could be a good signing for Everton? Do you think it'd be a good signing for us? And do you think, from what you've seen of us, I don't know how much of us you watch, do you think he brings something we need?
Yeah, the thing that I've noticed, I have to be honest, I don't watch a lot of Everton games. I used to watch a couple of times, but now that Lampard has been the coach, I haven't seen Everton a lot. So, but I do know that when Lampard was a coach at Chelsea, he signed Ziyech as well. So for me, it means that Lampard has an eye for technical players. He likes players that are creative, that can, bring certain things into the team. So in that sense, it seems to me, I like coaches like that. You have different types of coaches. I think Lampard is more into, being more attacking minded, looking at players that can unlock things. And I think Kudus would fit right there, just like Ziyech did. So in that area, if you're looking for creativity into your team, if you're looking for more goals and these kind of things, if that's really the problem at Everton at the moment, I cannot really judge that at the moment. I'm sorry for that. But if that's the thing, then Kudus is a good signing. Yes.
Nice. That sounds brilliant. Yeah, it is. That is one of our major problems is goals and creativity. So it looks like that's one player that fills that gap very nicely for us. That is all my questions, though. I just want to say thank you for coming on and joining me, mate. It's been a pleasure to speak to you and get to know a little bit more about him.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And yeah, let's see. I still hope he will stay. Sorry, but I hope he will stay. And yeah, good luck to you guys. And of course, I hope you guys get a much better season than last season, of course.
Thank you. No worries. Don't forget, guys, you can like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and comment down below your thoughts on Kudus if any of you have watched him. And you can check out Juan and We Talk Ajax as well. The links will be in the description down below. So make sure you go check them out. And most importantly, guys, take care, and I'll see you soon.